Hello everyone and welcome to A Slice of My Life. You know what's funny? I've been calling my videos A Slice of My Life, and then eventually I just started to do knife reviews, and then I saw the pun like only recently, A Slice of My Life. Haha ha 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 ha. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll stop. Anyway, in this Slice of My Life, I'm gonna be talking about the Komodo by Northsideknife. Northsideknife, singular, not plural. Now I did not know that this existed until my friend Weebing aka Drizzle told me about it and said, hey, take a look at this. It is produced by We and it looks like a nice pocket cleaver. And initially when I saw it, I was like, I don't know if I want to get it. But then I looked at the scales again, and the more I looked at it, the more I found it interesting, and I decided to try reaching out again to Matt Lawson over at MJL Blade Works and asked him if he would consider doing a rock fade on this, and if it was possible, I would purchase it from Northsideknife, send it over straight to him, and then get the rock work done. And I gotta say, his work is once again amazing. Of course, this is a little bit different. The original one was just all in solid grey, and I'll put a picture on screen so that you guys can see and contrast it for yourself. I'll try and put it like this side of the screen, and the difference now is that you can tell this is kind of blue. So I flamed the scales and I also flamed the pivot collar. You guys can see pivot collar has some blurple and a little bit of bronze color in there. But yes, I decided to flame the scales as well as the pocket clip blue. It's all made in titanium, so it just blued up very nicely, and then I threw this into the stone washing rig that I have, and this is the result. The reason why I did that is because I kind of wanted a more dragon-like finish, since this is a Komodo, and the Komodo is also commonly known as the Komodo dragon, so I thought it went really well with the name. And this, guys, is a pocket cleaver. It opens just like that. It's a really interesting looking knife no matter how you look at it, because the cutting edge is along this part over here, nothing to do with this, and this really isn't a finger choil. I'm gonna have to hold it this way because if not I'm gonna have to twist my hand in a weird orientation, but this is how it fits. See, if in the standard grip, or if I were to put my thumb up here, and I can kind of technically choke up like that, even though this doesn't really offer much of a grip. So you kind of do work in this orientation, which is to me very interesting because this really reminds me of more of a chopping kind of cleaver, like something that you would chop meat or chop bones with. And so far I think it's been quite interesting. I haven't really put this to hard use at all, so I have to admit that I have no real experience as to how this thing would cut through wood or something, but in terms of standard cutting tasks like cutting paper and stuff, it works completely fine. It also has a front flipper over here, and it is quite difficult and quite painful in my opinion to kind of flip it open with your thumb, but you can still just apply pressure and then twist it open like that. And in situations like that, if you open it up like that, it is completely comfortable. It's not weird at all. Just push it up and it opens right up like that. So you guys saw I could open it with my thumb and also deploy it with my middle finger via the slot here, just like that. It's really simple, and you technically could also thumb flick it open with that slot over there, but I gotta say that it takes some practice and it's definitely not the most comfortable thing in the world. I think that opening it up with your middle finger is still very comfortable, or much more comfortable compared to trying to flick it open with your thumb. And I do that by sitting my thumb in the corner like that, and then just, yep, I almost got it. So there we go. So it takes a bit of practice and just a lot of getting used to. It's something that is definitely doable, but not for me. So guys, all the specs about this beast I will put on the screen over here while I give you guys a size comparison of this against some more common folding pocket knives. And the first knife I will compare it to is the CRKT Pilar. Just put it at the back here. A Benchmade Mini Griptilian right there. And last but not least, a Para 3. So you could see that in terms of overall length, this is a lot larger than the 3 knives that I've shown you so far. The actual blade itself is just like that. See, so the cutting edge itself is a little bit different, and in my opinion this is one of those kind of knives that you might find either very interesting or super ugly. It really depends on what your taste is. But for me, I actually like the lines on this thing. I think it's very nicely designed. It is manufactured, if I'm not wrong, by We Knives, so you know, quality, if really it is manufactured by We Knives, then quality is of course impeccable, because we all know We Knives produces some of the best knives out there in the market, and it's got good action. You guys saw like that. It just really depends on how you are using the knife and how you deploy it and keep it. Going over the design details, you guys can see that it's got a nice contour here. Of course, you got to ignore the rock fade here because this one is awesome work done by MJL Blade Works. But also you've got these jimping up here on the top, and the detail here and the nuance here is that I like the curve like that. It's a parallel line across this way, and once it's deployed, I really love the way this curve actually goes from here all the way down like that. It's one smooth swoop, and then from here going up like that as well. It's quite cool, just that when you hold it, you know, it really changes the way you have to grip your knife or the way you use it. Like in most common situations, if you want to open boxes with it, you most probably open the box with this corner over here, even though it's not sharp at this part. It's where the start of the cutting edge is. So yeah, something that you have to take note of. Now the blade itself features a very nice swedge up here. It's a nice detail as well. And then on the top here, it is chamfered nicely on the edges. So nothing really sharp. Jimping serves its purpose. It's 3 very big large notches cut out. Also, there is some jimping on the back spacer as well, so that provides some extra support at the very bottom of your palm if you are gripping it like that. Next, of course, it is a frame lock and it's got some jimping at the bottom here. This one over here is a little bit sharp, so I guess I'm glad I kind of stonewashed this thing because I rounded off the edges a little bit, but they can bite you, especially if you're really squeezing it or really gripping down on it, bearing down this way especially, then it will kind of bite into your index finger. But that's something that you have to take note of as well. And it's got a steel lock bar insert. Most WEKNIFE produced knives have this feature as well. And it's got a over travel stop nub. Can you guys see it? Right there, that's the over travel stop nub. That is part of the lock bar insert. So I really like that touch. Good job to WEKNIFEs. Now the pivot screw is polished. I didn't do anything to it, but there is a pivot collar, and the pivot collar I believe is made in stainless steel. Easy to flame as well. I flamed that up. If not, it's just gonna be standard polished steel. Now the next thing I'm going to talk about is the pocket clip. Now the pocket clip, okay, let me just close up this knife so that I can tell you guys a little bit more about the pocket clip. The pocket clip is an area where I have a little bit of gripe. Now, it is not a deep carry pocket clip, so it sits right there. So it's gonna protrude out this much in your pocket, and I for one don't really like the fact that you actually see part of your blade sticking out of your pocket. To me, that's a little bit uncomfortable, I guess, to some people. I'm gonna be using this microfiber cloth as a representation of your pocket, so it sits like that all the way up, and that's where the problem lies. It's because you can actually see some of that blade peeking out, and I don't like that. Now, even if you sit it flush against your pocket on the side, or even if you have it kind of twisted as far as you can, you're still gonna see that blade sticking out. And the thing is, this pocket clip is just at one location. It is not reversible, and it is always going to be tip up only. I mean, no complaints with it being tip up, and it's fine when it sits against my pocket that there is no flipper tab sticking out and it won't be hitting against anything in my pocket. Now the next thing that I want to talk about is, okay, I think that the tension on the pocket clip is fine, but what I really don't like is when pocket clips have that wiggle, that side to side wiggle. Even though this is being held in by 2 Torx screws, and these are T8 Torx screws, it still can do this. Look, and I'm gonna be lifting it up because I don't want it to be scratching the scale, so I'll just lift it up and can shift the pocket clip up and down like that. It's something that I don't like, because if it wiggles that much, it's gonna, I guess, eventually just wear down here and create a little bit more scratches. But it also means that this wasn't secure enough. And I understand that a lot of pocket clips have this kind of give, even on, say for example, Spyderco knives, even though it has 3 slots for any pocket clip. After experiencing, for example, the Forged Falcon, it actually has a dedicated slot that was milled out, and then the pocket clip would sit in that slot and not move. Even though this one, yes, I admit, yes, Matt did some rock work to this, but there wasn't a slot present in the first place, so it's by no fault of Matt's. This is just something that Northsideknife could take a look into. I mean, it looks great. I think it's a very simple, straightforward looking, clean design for a pocket clip, but it's just that this wiggle thing here. Next is blade centering. Blade centering is actually pretty spot on. It's very well done, and yeah, I did of course dismantle it, take it apart, stonewash, do customization, re-lube it up and put it back together. But when I received it from Matt, blade centering was great, and Matt also shared that blade centering was great upon receipt of it in stock form. 2 other small little details that I picked up on that I really liked is the fact that this back spacer here has a little kind of hook going upwards, and that kind of covers the blade tip right there. So I like that, because sometimes the back spacer kind of stops there at the end, and that means that sometimes by accident you might nick yourself against the tip of the blade, but with this particular hook there, it covers it up very well. So I like that a lot. And also on the back here along the spine, the cutting edge is nowhere close to this opening here, so I like that a lot, because sometimes when a knife is closed, you can actually kind of squeeze the fat of your thumb in there and you might actually touch the cutting edge. This one doesn't have any of that. And with that, I think I've basically covered everything that I wanted to say about the Northsideknife Komodo. Northsideknife Komodo. I always have a tendency to want to say Northside Knives. Northsideknife. To me, it's a tongue twister, because Northsideknife. Yeah, the Komodo, everyone. Customized by Matt over at MJL Blade Works and also then further customized by myself, but I don't think Matt did anything to the blade itself, so the blade is bone stock. I got this from the Northsideknife website. I'll put a link in the description box down below to that in case you're interested in getting one of these, and I got this for $225, and that is the price you're going to pay for a well-made knife. In my opinion, this is actually pretty good in terms of the fit and finish, the make and everything, so good job to Northsideknife. In my opinion, you guys picked a right knife manufacturer. WEKNIFE does some really good work. Really, it's an interesting piece, don't you think? Love it or hate it, I actually like it quite a bit. Initially, I thought it was so-so, but once Matt did his magic on this thing with the rock fade, I felt even more in love with this. I was thinking just buy it and then get Matt to do some custom work on it and then probably sell it, but I'm gonna keep this at least for the next long while. Also, there is no lanyard slot on this, so for those of you who really don't see a point in having a lanyard on your knife, then you can rejoice. But for me, I wish there was a lanyard slot here somewhere, although I know that it's gonna be almost impossible because of that blade to handle ratio, and that's another plus point in my opinion because blade to handle ratio is done really well. Oh, I forgot to mention that this guy is actually quite drop shotty because of the sheer amount of weight in the blade itself. That doesn't even take much coaxing at all, just sheer gravity itself will pull this thing down. It's quite cool. Really, action is good on this thing. When you are deploying the knife, the way you hold it is very important. Make sure that you don't accidentally press down on the lock bar here because that is really sensitive because of the way it's curved like that and because of this opening slot here. For the first couple of days when I was trying to middle finger flick this thing open, I realized that I was always pressing on the lock bar. Even the slightest amount of pressure on the lock bar makes a huge difference, so make sure that you don't. I usually have my index finger up here and then just middle finger flick it open. Or if you want to, like I told Jackie on my very first episode of What's the Point, I told Jackie to pinch the pivot pin like that and then open it up with the middle finger, so just put some force into that. That works as well. So it really depends on your comfort how you're actually doing this, and I think that with some practice you should be able to open it upside down as well. Just pull down on this tab over here, but clearly I'm not as dexterous enough to do that. And that is it, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking all the way throughout and sharing in the slice of my life, and I hope that I provided enough information to help you decide whether or not the Komodo by Northsideknife is a knife for you. Maybe not for everyone, but I really like the way it turned out. All this customizing work is really awesome. I will also put a link down to Matt's Instagram account in the description box down below. Make sure you hit him up. He does some really awesome work, and he's open to suggestions and open to try something new, so speak to him about it. And he also recently just did some wood grain finishes on a Sebenza, and I'm super jealous about that. I want to get myself a Sebenza 31 small. I've actually placed my order, so I guess I'm just kind of waiting for that. Like, I know it's going to be an expensive investment, but what the heck, right? I mean, with the amount of money I put into customizing knives, I could just buy myself a Sebenza, so I'm kind of waiting for that, and that is really it basically. If you guys like the content that I'm putting out here on this channel, please consider subscribing, and if you do subscribe, make sure that you hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified of any new uploads that I put out. Also, I run a Patreon page. I'll put a link up here if you want to check it out, and if you do become a patron of mine, thank you so much in advance. Once again, everyone, this is the Komodo by Northsideknife, manufactured by WEKNIFE, and if you want to get it, it was going for, I think it should still be going for $225 US, and I will catch all of you in the next slice of my life. Until then, everyone, gaga boos.